Every neighborhood has that guy. You know the one. Overwatered lawn, suspiciously high ladder activity, and a glint in his eye around the holidays that says, I'm about to ruin the power grid. Ours is Franklin Moore. Retired math teacher, drives a hybrid, speaks softly, but carries an industrial-sized extension cord. It started the day after Thanksgiving, right on schedule. While the rest of us were still digesting stuffing and debating the ethics of Black Friday shopping, Franklin was on his roof, quietly, like a festive ninja. By dusk, there were a few tasteful icicle lights on his gutters. Classic, subtle, almost responsible. By Sunday, his yard looked like Santa threw up. It wasn't just the quantity, it was the strategy. Each tree wrapped with military precision, reindeer that actually moved, candy canes forming a runway up the driveway. There was even a 12-foot animatronic elf that waved at passing cars and, disturbingly, blinked. Then came the music. Not just music, synchronized music. Franklin had apparently invested in some sort of FM radio transmitter that allowed you to tune in and watch his house pulsate to Mariah Carey, Mannheim Steamroller, and at one point, Trans-Siberian Orchestra at a volume that cracked my bird bath. By the first Monday of December, traffic in our quiet cul-de-sac rivaled Coachella. Strangers parked on lawns, children screamed in delight. One SUV set up a tailgate with cocoa and lawn chairs. The HOA, naturally, was not amused. We called an emergency meeting in Harold's garage, the designated situation room ever since the fence incident of 22. Everyone brought snacks, and Brenda from Lot 9 brought rage. I can't sleep, she hissed, waving a handwritten complaint. My cat hasn't come out from under the bed in 3 days, and I swear that elf winked at me. Harold adjusted his glasses and squinted at the bylaws. Technically, he's not in violation of code, yet. Brenda's eyes narrowed. Then we revised the code. There was a moment of silence, broken only by a muffled, "All I want for Christmas is you," vibrating through the garage walls. The HOA's initial response was a politely worded letter, citing concerns over traffic, noise, and excessive luminance. Franklin responded with a fruitcake and a note that read, "Dear friends, the season is brighter when we shine together. Love, Frank." The fruitcake was weaponized, dense, suspiciously heavy, and possibly sentient. That weekend, someone left a lone plastic flamingo on Franklin's lawn, wearing a Santa hat and holding a sign, "Turn it down, Blitzen." Frank added it to the display, and just like that, the line had been drawn. Poorly lit, maybe, but still. Franklin had declared holiday war. I sipped my coffee and stared out the window at his twinkling battleground. This would not end quietly, and if I'm being honest, I was kind of excited. By the second week of December, Franklin's house wasn't just a local spectacle, it was a dare. At first, it was subtle. The Thompsons next door added a few strands of blue and white lights. Tasteful. I even complimented them on their restraint. The next day, they had an inflatable polar bear playing a saxophone. That's when I knew we'd lost control. Within days, the cul-de-sac exploded into a battleground of blinking lights, questionable taste, and unhinged creativity. The Parkers went full winter wonderland, importing actual snow from an ice rink 2 towns over and setting up a sleigh ride around their garage. I watched them shovel frozen chunks out of a rented U-Haul with wild eyes and suspiciously red noses. Next came the Martins, who installed 42 strobe lights and rebranded their yard as Santa's Rave Lair. Their 17-year-old son DJ'd from the porch. They passed out glow sticks to children. A toddler in a candy cane onesie was spotted fist-pumping near a snow machine. And then, the Jenkins family. They took the religious route, opting for Historical Bethlehem, live edition. Full commitment. Hay bales, an actual baby in a manger on loan from their niece, and 2 goats that appeared to be both feral and unionized. They hired a teenager to dress as an angel and stand on the roof with a ring light for ambiance. The HOA was speechless. Then Brenda spoke. "These goats are ruining my lawn," she growled in a tone usually reserved for exorcisms. "They're not even historically accurate goats," Harold muttered. Traffic backed up for miles. Google Maps began rerouting people through our street just for the holiday experience. Local food trucks started showing up. A man in a Santa suit began charging for selfies in front of Franklin's house and later admitted he lived 3 neighborhoods over. HOA meetings became nightly events. Not meetings so much as caffeine-fueled confessionals. Brenda accused the nativity donkey of braying in the key of passive aggression. Someone tried to ban strobes, only to be shouted down by DJ Elfwave, aka the Martin Kid. One night, an inflatable snowman, roughly the size of a mid-range sedan, broke free from its moorings during a wind gust. It soared majestically over Brenda's driveway, crashed into the power lines, and took out electricity for 3 blocks. We spent the night huddled in Harold's garage by candlelight, listening to the goat munch hay in defiance. And then came the news van. Channel 7 showed up with lights, cameras, and a very serious reporter named Dawn. She did a stand-up in front of Franklin's elf, who blinked ominously behind her. "We're live in the heart of what locals are calling the holiday cul-de-smackdown," she intoned. "Possibly the most aggressively festive block in America." Franklin waved in the background. One of the goats tried to eat her scarf. The segment went viral by morning. It was no longer a neighborhood feud. It was a movement. It happened at exactly 6:17 p.m. on Christmas Eve. 1 minute, our neighborhood glowed like Las Vegas after a Red Bull binge. Lights blinking, music blaring, fog machines hissing, animatronics waving like caffeinated cruise ship staff. The next, everything went dark. Total blackout. Not just our street, 3 whole blocks. No lights, no inflatables, no goats even. For one glorious second, there was silence. Then came the screaming. "Who unplugged Bethlehem?" shouted Mr. Jenkins, stumbling around in the hay. "My DJ booth," cried Elfwave, dramatically cradling a power strip. Brenda burst from her house, flashlight in one hand, cat under the other. "This is sabotage," she declared. "I knew that elf was looking at me funny." I stepped outside, blinking into the quiet like the end of a war movie. Franklin was already in the street, holding what appeared to be an oversized extension cord and a deeply apologetic fruitcake. "I think I tripped the grid," he said sheepishly. "I installed a rotating candy cane carousel and may have plugged it into the water heater line." We stared at him. "You powered a carousel with your water heater?" asked Harold, baffled. "I had no other options. The animatronic choir needed its own circuit." Naturally. There was a beat of silence. Then someone laughed. I think it was Nancy, which was surprising because Nancy hasn't laughed since the great mulch disagreement of 2021. One by one, others joined in. Even Brenda cracked a grin, though she immediately blamed it on wind chill. Within 15 minutes, we were all gathered in the middle of the cul-de-sac. Franklin passed out candles from a box labeled Emergency Ambiance, and someone found a thermos of cocoa. DJ Elfwave played lo-fi Christmas beats from a battery-powered speaker. The goats were accounted for and, weirdly, snuggled against Brenda's lawn flamingos. We talked, we laughed, we admitted, begrudgingly, that it had gotten out of hand. "I didn't hate the sparkle snowman," Brenda finally confessed. "I hated how much I didn't hate it." That, for Brenda, was basically a declaration of unconditional love. For the first time all season, we weren't competing. No clashing themes, no blinking light arms race, just a bunch of neighbors sitting in the dark, remembering why we decorate in the first place. Connection, joy, mutual, low-level madness. And then, click. Every house lit up at once. The candy cane carousel spun to life. Carol of the Bells blasted from Franklin's speakers. Elfwave cheered. Someone screamed. The sparkle snowman inflated like a resurrection, and the goat escaped. It trotted dramatically down the street, silhouetted by 3,000 LEDs, wearing a Santa hat and dragging half the nativity behind it. Franklin saluted. No one chased it. We figured it had earned its freedom. A week later, the HOA newsletter arrived. On the back page, holiday lighting contest results. Best theme, the Jenkins family. Most dramatic, DJ Elfwave. Most historically questionable, Brenda's Flamingo Rebellion. Most creative display, Franklin Moore. No one objected, and no one, not a single person, ever mentioned the sparkle snowman again.